This is 16 WAPT News at 10. Built around you.
A Jackson teenager recovering from swine flu sits down with us why her family worries schools aren't doing enough to stop the flu from spreading, and caught on tape how these cows ended up in a convenience store.
Good evening, everybody. Well, most of the day was cloudy. We saw some rain as well. We're still seeing just a few showers in the central parts of the Magnolia State, and it's all because of this upper level low spinning around in eastern Texas, kicking off a lot of moisture and some scattered showers. Most of the showers in our area are further to the north. But what about tomorrow and the work week? I have your forecast all coming up.
Thanks, Heather. Tonight, a Jackson teen recovering from swine flu says schools should do more to prevent the virus from spreading. 3 Mississippians have died from the swine flu. That's in Hancock, Jackson, and Washington counties. And there have been 723 reported cases in Mississippi, according to the health department. Tonight, 16 WAPT's Crystal Hilliard spent the day with a teenager who says with the right precautions, she might not have gotten sick at all. Crystal.
Megan, tonight, outraged Jackson mother and daughter are speaking out against the handling of the swine flu in schools. The mother says her teenager fell victim to the swine flu because school officials weren't careful. She says he's looking forward to returning to Jim Hill in the morning. Megan.
Thanks, Crystal. Tonight, leaders of 2 Madison County cities are scrambling to figure out how they'll pay for road repairs. Today, mayors and aldermen from Madison and Ridgeland held an emergency meeting to discuss cuts made by the Madison County Board of Supervisors to their budgets. It all amounts to a 21% reduction in the road and bridge funds for both cities. The cut surprised Madison Mayor Mary Hawkins Butler.
Budget, our city is strong, but this money is owed to the citizens of Madison, and we hope we're going to be able to recoup that, and if not, then we'll just have to sharpen our pencil and dig a little deeper.
Be sure that we get copies of the county budgets, to which and be sure that we look at those things to see what's there way in advance, and hopefully we'll avoid this situation again.
Now, officials will meet with the Board of Supervisors to talk more about why their budgets were cut and ask to get the money back. We'll keep you updated. A new high school could be built in Madison County if a $61 million school bond issue is approved this week. The Madison County voters will go to the polls Tuesday to vote on the bond issue. It would fund the construction of a new high school in the Gluckstadt area and help pay for buildings and renovations in each of the school districts for attendance zones. Now, one controversial part of the bond proposal includes the addition of artificial turf for football fields at Ridgeland High School and Thelma Jackson High School. Crystal Springs police believe they finally solved a 6-month-old murder case. Friday, they arrested 23-year-old Utica resident Jamario Dumont Evans. He's facing armed robbery and capital murder charges in the murder of Crystal Springs store clerk Luke Donahoe. Donahoe was shot to death March 7th while working at the Sack and Pack in Crystal Springs. Now to an update in our broken justice coverage. In prison, former attorney Dickie Scruggs is facing another lawsuit. Gulf Coast attorneys Lee Young and Charles McHale filed the lawsuit in federal court Thursday. They say Scruggs used money he owed to them in a scheme to bribe judges and other elected officials. They claim the money was from their part of the national tobacco settlement in the 90s. Scruggs is serving a 7-year prison sentence for conspiring to bribe a judge. Well, healthcare continues to be the #1 issue in Washington, with lawmakers divided on what kind of reform is needed. President Obama insists the time for healthcare reform is now, while many very loud opponents say not so fast. ABC's Rachel Martin is in Washington.
Rachel Martin, ABC News, Washington.
Now, while the president speaks to voters behind the scenes, his team and key Democratic lawmakers are in intense negotiations aimed at cutting a deal that can pass Congress with or without Republican backing. A man who was expected to play a key role in the federal corruption trial of former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich has died. And police have yet to say whether the death of Christopher Kelly was accidental or suicide. Kelly was an advisor and chief fundraiser for Blagojevich. He was scheduled to begin serving a prison sentence for mail fraud next week. He said in court on Tuesday that he was, quote, feeling pressure in his life. Federal prosecutors were counting on Kelly to testify against Blagojevich in his corruption trial this spring. Just hours ago, police found a body in the wall of a building where a missing Yale University student was last seen. Authorities have not yet said whether it is the body of Annie Lee. ABC's Sharon Alfonsi takes a closer look at the investigation.
New Haven, Connecticut.
Still to come, a groom killed on his wedding day. His fiancée talks about how she's getting through an emotional nightmare. Plus, It's been a year since the collapse of Lehman Brothers. We take a look at what's changed since the big bank fell. In news across the country tonight, a day meant to be one of the happiest turned tragic for a Raleigh, North Carolina couple this weekend. 28-year-old Christopher Rayner was set to get married yesterday, but he never made it to the ceremony. Rayner was killed in a car wreck on his way to breakfast with his groomsmen. Just hours after she was supposed to walk down the aisle, Rayner's fiance said she was focusing on how he changed her life for the better.
So often when people die, you wish I woulda, I shoulda, I coulda said this, why didn't I do that? And I have not one single regret. I know everyone who was part of the wedding does not have a single regret because everyone told him how much they loved him and how much that he meant and how much he enriched and loved and changed people's lives, because he changed mine.
Now, police say the wedding party was hit by a man who didn't stop at a red light. That driver is now facing criminal charges. And flash flood watches are in effect in North Texas tonight. Power's been knocked out to thousands of homes, and forecasters say the heavy rainfall could continue for the next few days. Many of the streets have standing water from curb to curb, and in Dallas County, a special needs bus got in trouble when it became wedged against a tree there. Crews were able to rescue the passengers from the bus, and no one was hurt.
You're watching 16 WAPT News at 10 with Megan West. Sports with Brittany Deal. And live Storm Shield 16 weather with meteorologist Heather Sophia. This is 16 WAPT News at 10. Built around you.
Good evening, everybody. Outside right now, we're looking with our Cap Towers downtown cam. No rain right now, but it's definitely muggy, and we saw a lot of clouds around.
All right, thanks, Heather. Well, some thought it was the bank that couldn't sink, but it did. Hear how the economy's changed in the year since Lehman Brothers collapsed. Stay with us. You're watching 16 WAPT News at 10. The president heads to Wall Street tomorrow for a speech on the anniversary of the collapse of Lehman Brothers. The White House says the president will point out that the economy's improving, but he'll also argue that there should be tougher regulation to prevent another collapse. ABC's Dan Harris has a look at how our world has changed in the year since Lehman went down.
Future is still very high.
Dan Harris reporting there, and many financial experts say it was ultimately the government's inconsistent response to failing companies and then its warning of a financial Armageddon without passage of emergency stimulus that triggered panic in the financial markets. Still to come, a packed slate of NFL games, including a record setter in the Crescent City. Brittany Deal has the highlights coming up.
Now, 16 Sports with Brittany Deal.
Good evening. Last year's record of 8-8 just isn't good enough, especially when the Saints think, as we speak, the polls are open, as well as the bankplus.net voting line.
All right, thanks, Brittany. When we come back, how cows ended up in a convenience store. You don't want to miss it. Stick around.
We're going to continue to see some scattered showers on and off, so keep that umbrella handy in the poncho around. Temperatures only reaching 83 with the cloud cover and the rainfall. Not expecting temperatures to get very high tomorrow. And we're going to stick with some scattered showers for Tuesday and Wednesday. So it's still going to be a sort of wet pattern for us, but at least it's helping out the water bill.
Keep the umbrellas handy.
You got it.
All right, thanks, Heather. Finally tonight, surveillance cameras. They help police catch criminals all the time, but they don't often capture video like this. Take a look. Those are cows right there running into a convenience store in Puyallup, Washington. It was all part of a cattle run that's through the town's main street, but it got a little out of hand. The steers just made their way down the aisles as other customers looked on, and then a cowboy actually rode in on horseback and herded the steers out of the store. Amazingly, nobody was hurt, and what's even more amazing to me is the store, there he is, the cowboy. The store wasn't even damaged that badly. What'd you say about it earlier, Heather?
Yeah, I hope he got all the milk.
That's right. Maybe they were making an in-person delivery. I don't know. But that's our broadcast tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to join Brad and Sharita right back here in the morning. Have a great night.